Hi everybody, I'm Trish. This is the first time I've ever uploaded a video or anything like that, so please bear with because I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know how to edit or anything like that, so there's going to be no frills. So I've tried to do this process that I'm doing so that you can kind of see the little stages. Primarily I'm doing this because I've been making pea soup for a long time. I've always had a strict kind of budget over the years with kids growing up and not having much money and various things. And my son Johnny, even at the prime old age of 30 plus now, still claims that he can't do it and he still wants batches off mum. But now he's got no excuse. But it's just a good, really filling family meal that you can make for your kids, or you know, a mansion full of people. I mean, I'm used to doing like really big amounts of this, and you can adapt it to, you know, whatever, whether it's vegetarian kind of option or non-vegetarian option. You can make it with finer ingredients or you can make it with cheaper ingredients. There's lots of recipes out there that include a lot more than I'm going to include today, because for me it's about keeping it simple, the really simple taste that I think cut through. There's nothing wrong with the overcomplicated ones. It's just, I think for the people that add carrots and things like that, and barleys and different things, it's more like a stew then. It's got a pea base, but it's not what I'd call pea soup. So I keep it really, really simple. So, you know, for you out there that might not ever have had a go at anything like this, thinking, oh God, it's too difficult. Once you get in the swing of things, it's, you know, and used to doing it, I could put it together with my eyes closed now, not that I'm advising that with cookers and stuff. But it's a really good family meal to make that you can make on a really good budget, and it's hard these days. A lot of families are struggling. They're having to go to food banks, but if, you know, if maybe they've not had anybody around them to show them how to cook these really simple things. So I mean, if this video goes okay, if anybody wants any more videos, I'm more than willing to, you know, upload different like recipes that I've used over the years, if it helps to show anybody that, and that helps anybody's budget, or, you know, feeding the kids like nutritional stuff when otherwise they might not be able to do it, then let's go for it. This is a meal that I can make, I don't know, 6 to 8 portions of for about a £5, I'd say, and it, you know, it varies with what brands you use and different things. There is different pea qualities, believe it or not, and you can get different batches depending on how you do it. Yeah, there is a few kind of, but you'll just adapt and move as you go along. The one thing that's the most important thing is, as you're doing it while you're learning, you will let it flow all over your cooker at some point. That's like the law when you're making pea soup, because if you don't watch it like a hawk, it's gonna go. But anyway, so if you fancy making some pea soup, mine has bacon in it. Sometimes it doesn't. Mine also has dumplings in it, because I think if you're gonna make, you know, if you've got, I mean, for me it was, you know, 4 boys that I had at home and various other people who've come and gone, you know, lovely adopted kids, foster kids, other family members, cousins. You know, I like to feed everybody. I'm just a typical mother in that way. And you can make it easily, and you can make it on a budget in whatever way suits you. I used to throw mine on the table with a loaf of bread for my 4 lads, and it'd just be gone in a heartbeat. But to do that, you know, for growing lads, for like a £5, well, back in them days it would have been like £2 that it cost me, so you just can't really beat that. So anyway, I'll stop waffling. So basically at the moment that's what I've got. I'm not promoting any brands in particular. This is just from a big supermarket, so it's readily available. There's lots of different brands that you can use, and that's all that is dried marrowfat peas. And in that box with that comes a steeping tablet, which is bicarbonate of soda, And all you do is, you do always have to like prepare a little bit in advance, so you do need like 24 hours or whatever before you make this, because you have to steep it. That pea needs to get from that stage to back to being a proper pea. So you're just soaking it in water. Now I soak them, it will make the pea soup taste differently if you don't soak it for long enough. So if you're in a hurry and you decide 6 a.m. or whatever before going to work, I want pea soup tonight, you can do it, but do it, you know, sort of with boiling water instead of cold water when you're steeping them, and you can get away with it, but it won't quite be as nice as when you've stepped it for 12 to 14 hours at least. And so that's your first process. Now I do batch cooking a lot, so for me a couple of boxes of this, I mean these are currently about 90p for a box. I'd say I'd probably use 3 boxes each time, and that will make about 3/4 of this pan full, and there's probably 8 or 10 portions at least in that. So literally what you do is get however many boxes you want, pour that into your pan, cover it, and then some sort of at least double the height with cold water if you're doing it the night before. Just leave it sat on your stove with the cold water in it. 3 boxes of this and nothing else, apart from your steeping tablet obviously. And then you leave that overnight. Then the next morning or afternoon or whenever you're going to cook it, you get to this where the pea has become large again. And at this point it's so important to rinse. You must rinse a million times, otherwise you'll be blowing everybody away from the kitchen table, because the bicarb will just, yeah, it'll make everybody very windy, shall we say. So just rinse that off, you know, I mean I usually rinse it off about sort of 5 or 6 times, whether you do that with a sieve or, you know, I mean I'll just sort of balance, throw it around a bit, balance the lid on it, get it down the sink, then put fresh water in it, and I'd probably say for a pan like this with 3 boxes, just like double the height of the peas really. Don't put too much water in. You're always better off with not enough rather than too much, otherwise you'll lose the taste of the pea soup if you water it down too much. You don't want to do that. You can always kind of add a bit more, but you can't take it away once you've done it and you've lost the taste. So get your water in. I put salt and pepper in and that's it. That's all I do. But I'll only put them in after it's sort of boiled initially. For that beginning part, you don't want to leave your cooker for any length of time, because it'll boil over and it'll be a right mess all over your kitchen. I once wandered off to the shop and forgotten that I'd left it on, and I came back and had a green kitchen. That was fun. So yeah, put it on, get it boiling, turn it down really low so that it really is just a nice simmer. Once you've got that nice simmer going, it's probably going to be, I don't know, I'd say about a couple of hours really comfortably. Again, you know, it does, don't know whether you're going to be able to see that, because I'm not that technical that I can, yeah, you can see that I can move this camera or anything, because I've just got it kind of propped on my fridge. So today I'm anyway going to make the version of this that has bacon in it. Now different people use different processes. I've always resorted back to cooking bacon. Once upon a time it was because of money, but I've tried, I think, every way of doing this, from the cheap to the expensive, and putting bacon ribs in is another really kind of nice one, although it's like cannibalistic almost when you're eating them and you're around the table. It doesn't look very pleasant, but yeah, you could literally just kind of throw a rack of ribs in there if you rinse them first, because otherwise they might make it a bit too salty. People have put hocks of ham in there. I don't think there's enough flavour. I just don't think it's enough. Somehow it's a bit bland. So like I say, I've gone back to cooking bacon. Now this is just, you know, from a supermarket. and it's all the bits that kind of nobody else wants because it's, you know, not the right shape or the right size or anything else. I have washed my hands, by the way, and it is just, you know, all the kind of bits. But for me, that makes this taste the way that it should taste. It gives it loads of flavour, but it is really, really good for your budget. So you can put this in, you know, comfortably, like 20 minutes before it's ready to be eaten or whatever, and it still gets that flavour in there. And then you can just add salt as and when after you've added the cooking bacon. If you add too much salt before, you might find that when you add this, you know, it is just going to be too salty, and you can add it in later on, but you cannot take it away, so you've ruined it if you put too much salt in. So excuse me for looking away from the camera, because this is because I don't know how to edit. Maybe at some point I'll learn how to edit. So I'll just chat about this as we're going along. And then, like I say, if you want any other recipes or anything like that, but it's really basic, batch cooking, family cooking. I'm just cutting it up, you know, some people say, oh God, that's not, you know, I'd want it done properly or whatever, but I've always done it like this, and I've always had loads of people over the years saying, oh, of course, Trish, your pea soup's ace. There's nothing magical about it, there's nothing special, but I've made it for plenty of people, and I do let, you know, the bits, not a lot, but the bits of fat go in there as well, because I think even that adds to the sort of flavour of it. You need a little bit of fat, as you can tell by the size of my backside. I do think it's, you know, everything in proportion. Really, I think you need all your food groups. Always encourage everybody to eat healthily, and I must say, you know, as much as I can, I will always try and buy, you know, from like a local butcher, local baker. Don't get me started on bread, that's another whole thing I have against supermarkets and things. But yeah, there's a lot of discussions I could have with you, but I just wanted to put this platform, you know, out there, slightly encouraged to do this by my lovely niece Bethany, who she's been uploading videos for quite a while onto YouTube, and I've seen her videos and just think, God, good girl, good on you, you know. She's doing really, really well. So I thought I'd give it a go. So she's encouraged her old Auntie Trish. I'm just going to wash my hands, 2 secs. That's not very polite at all, is it? To show you my backside. Sorry about that. So we've added the bacon. That will just, like I say, 15-20 minutes or whatever. That's going to be spot on. Then you can do your taste test to see whether you've got, you know, you need to add more salt and pepper and stuff. Don't, you know, if it ends up a bit bland, don't underestimate it. Add the salt and pepper that you need to add to make this really simple dish into a tasty one. I mean, don't forget the humble spud that we use in a million different ways. Tastes pretty crap without seasoning. There's lots of things that you use that if they're not seasoned right, they will taste really bland and just not pleasant. So, you know, especially cooking on a budget and things like that, seasoning's really important. I think any kitchen that you see, you know, whether it's a top chef or just somebody who cooks like myself and enjoys cooking, seasoning is there in the background. I'll show you. I've got baskets and baskets of these seasonings everywhere because I like to cook lots of different types of dishes, from the spicy to frighten my husband to death, or down to the dead standard what you could, you know, feed your kids. Like I say, you know, your veggie options there. I'm not trying to offend anybody with any meat eating or anything like that. Your dumplings, now again, that's another choice. Adding in dumplings always used to be something I did to kind of bulk it up a bit away. You know, if you're making a main meal out of something instead of, you know, little bowl of pea soup as a starter, if it's a main meal and you've got 4 growing lads to feed, you want stodge in there. You want it to fill them up. You don't want them to be hungry after 5 minutes when you've not got enough money to buy them sweets or puddings or anything like that. So I don't know if anybody's ever used a Torah suet before. I've always really liked it over the years. I never measure anything, and I always seem to get the right dumplings, but you probably should measure, to be fair. And it does say, and I'm not encouraging any brand again, but it does say on the box how to do it. But I always find I just kind of make a little, I don't know, maybe you'd say like a handful of suet and it'd be 3 handfuls of flour, something like that. Put a bit of salt and pepper in it, bit of water, a spoon, mix it up to like a doughy, spongy consistency, make it into little balls, throw it in. I'd say about sort of 12 to 14 minutes once you've, you know, once it's on a simmer, 12 to 14 minutes, something like that, and you've got some nice dumplings. If you make them about golf ball size, they'll should end up sort of nearly tennis ball size, so it's up to you. Obviously the bigger you do them, the bigger they're going to take inside, so you want to make sure that they're cooked properly. But yeah, 12 minutes or so. You could always just cut one in half, see if that centre's cooked, and that's it really. Again, I'll bring the camera over, very technical now, and then you can have a look. If I was to send, I mean I do very often send my boy Johnny a picture of it if I'm making pea soup, just to you know, rub his nose in it a little bit, just to make him jealous. So anyway, ask me any questions if you want in the links or whatever. I don't know how to do these things. I'm going to upload this and just see what happens. It's a meal for about a £5, and I'm glad to help if anybody's enjoyed it. Thank you.